this. Here we go. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. You are tuning in to the May Lunch and Learn educational webinar. This is being presented by Selina Schuh of Empowered Living Strategies on creating relationships that feed your soul. I'm so excited to have you on, Selina, because I think that as business owners, we oftentimes can neglect our relationships, whether that be with our kids, our friends, our family, business, you being a business owner as well, it takes a pretty big toll. So where you might be balanced here, but you're not balanced here, or vice versa. I've had a lot of situations just like that that have happened over the years too, even more specifically over the last couple of months. So this presentation could not have come at a better time. So whether someone is tuning in live or they're watching it, the recording, I think it's going to be beneficial for them either way. So before we get started, we have a couple of the gals on for people who are joining us. My name is Tisha, and my company is Tisha Marie Enterprises, where I empower entrepreneurs to make their business happen. And every month I do a lunch and learn educational webinar around certain topics around business or life, or just things that people have come to me with that they'd really like to hear from an expert on. So we do have a couple of different events, and I'll go through those rather quickly, and then I'll introduce Selina and then let her kick off the show. As she and I were talking about earlier, you do have the option to chat with us at any time. If you're tuning in live, you can go ahead and just hit that chat button, ask us a question, and then we may just hold those questions to the end. Selina, I'll let you decide if you'd like to go ahead and do that. You also should have received a worksheet if you registered for this through my website, to go ahead and have that handy, or even just a piece of paper so that you can jot some things down, because I'm sure this will be more of an interactive discussion as well. So talking a little bit about some of the upcoming events, I know everybody can read this, but I like to just go through it. We do have a virtual morning mastermind. Virtual morning masterminds in the Gals Inspiration Hub are great for women who are on the go, can't always get to a meeting per se, but just want to have that camaraderie, that community to bounce ideas. So this one's coming up tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 11:30. An East Valley Evening Mastermind. This is a live group that meets in Tempe, Wednesday, May 31st from 6:30 to 8:30. Another evening mastermind in June on the 6th from 7 to 8:30. And then for my members, I know Angela, you being on too, all the members, I'm hosting a Vision Reboot retreat. And this is a great retreat held at the Scottsdale Plaza Resort, where from 5 to 9 p.m. it's dinner, it's us talking about the next 6 months of the year, creating these vision mini books. I'll show mine, my little vision mini book. So having a portable vision mini book to kind of guide you to where it's holding you accountable. And it looks cute. I have to admit, it looks cute. It's a great little topper for my desk. And then our Hub Phoenix Live Mastermind on Monday, June 12th. I'm really excited. Some of you ladies know I just launched a guys inside exchange after a lot of men were asking me, do you have a group for guys just like the gals? And of course, that was something that if there's a need, let's go ahead and fill that. So in collaboration with the Phoenix Public Library and the Hive, that is coming back up on Monday, June 26th. I had the pleasure of sitting with some gentlemen this week and just talking to them about what they want out of the group. And surprisingly, ladies, it was just what you want out of the group. Isn't that ironic? It was no need for this macho space. It was like, oh, this is so nice to just be real for once. I'm like, oh my gosh, spoken like a woman. So I don't think we're that far from each other. I don't think there's a ton of difference. I do think that it's going to be a different kind of guy that comes to this group. So if you know some guys, maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your good friend, and he's looking for something like that, I encourage him to check that out. And then as you can see, some other events, the East Valley Live Evening Mastermind in June on the 28th. And of course, my favorite, Angela goes to this every year, and this is a summer self-care spa retreat at the Scottsdale Plaza Resort, Saturday, July 15th from 9 to 2, jam-packed, all-inclusive. It's $49 for my members, $59 for any guests. I find that a lot of women just gravitate toward this event because what are you going to do over the summer except poolside networking where you can write it off, have a yoga session, deeply discounted treatments, cocktails, and lunch with the women, with some of the gals. So it's a great event to be able to meet people and just be relaxed. So that's coming up. You can register for all of these events on my website or at this link here. And then for next month, I usually go dark in July with events. I'll host some virtual masterminds, but I will not be doing a webinar. But next month, I'm really excited to have Erin Edwards. She's one of my gals in the group. She is going to talk about how to grow your business using Pinterest. A lot of us on Facebook, a lot of us on LinkedIn, or perhaps Instagram, but Pinterest, as she shared in one of the meetings, is really becoming something that's overlooked in your business. And it's a really great tool. As you know, with Instagram, you can use hashtags, you really can't use links, you can't do that, you can really just post photos, but Pinterest really dives in a little deeper where you can use the image, link it to your site, link it to your landing page, and really track that progress. So I'm very excited to have her come on board with me next month, Thursday, June 29th from 11 to 12. Again, Erin Edwards of Odd Jobs on how to grow your business using Pinterest. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen right now and then introduce you to Selina. And some of you might have seen on her, on the website, she does have a bio, so I'm going to quickly read that to you and let her take the stage. And as I was saying, ladies, if there's anything that you have questions on, make sure to use the chat line. Selina just pointed out that with this webinar tool, we are also able to upgrade you to panelists. So later on during this presentation, we can have you come on and we can just do more of an interactive discussion if you'd like. But about Selina, we met. I don't even know how we met, Selina. I don't even think we have met yet.
No, we found each other. I found your listing on Network Phoenix.
Oh, yep.
Network, and so then we chatted online for a while.
Yeah, but physically have never met.
No, we have not met physically. That's the beauty of online, connecting, that it's still possible, right?
I think it's funny. Some of the ladies know there's a girl in our group, Desiree, who's getting ready to move to Korea, and she lives in Texas now, but she was just here and we did a happy hour for her. And it was just the funniest thing because I'm like, I'm gonna miss you. She's like, Tisha, we've really seen each other 5 times in our whole life. Like, but I'm like, I know, but I'm really gonna miss you. Like but it's funny how everything is just going kind of to that virtual stage.
Yes.
But all right, I do have another gal that's trying to get on. So Selina, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you and then help her. But Selina, she is an educator, speaker, author, and owner of Empowered Living Strategies. Since creating a marriage that feeds her soul after years of struggle, Selina combined her own hard-won lessons on relationship transformation with more than 25 years of teaching experience. The result is her exclusive step-by-step framework that walks clients through the process of building deeply connected and loving relationships. She is the author of the book, Becoming Your Own Knight in Shining Armor, which she'll talk about a little bit later in her presentation. So ladies, thank you so much for tuning in, especially to those who may be watching the recording. I'm gonna let Selina take it away. So bear with us as she goes ahead and gets her screen up, and then we will get started. Thanks,
Yes.
ladies.
Thank you, Tisha, for having me. I'm totally excited to be here, and I'm gonna deal with technology here for a moment and make sure that I'm sharing the right screen since we're in 2 different places. And let's see, here we go. And are you also gonna tune out my picture, my video? And then I think we'd be ready to start. Let me see. Let's see whether I can do this. I have not been hosting this yet on does that do it? There we go. All right. Are we good? I think we are. So I'm going to get started. Please put something in the chat window if there is a difficulty. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. This is the first time that I'm hosting a webinar over 2 different computers, so it'll be interesting to see how this all progresses, so just bear with us if any kind of technical issues show up. But I want to get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit first about why I do this work, and then I will share some steps on how you can immediately take action to create the trust, the fulfillment, in your relationship that you're looking for. And before we begin, I just want to make sure that you have a piece of paper and pen ready, like Tisha said. Either maybe you've printed out the worksheet or just get something that you can write on, because in a little bit, we will be doing some exercises. And if you have questions, please keep them until the end. It would be too distracting for me to try to read the chat and do the presentation. So we'll just focus on that at the end. And if you cannot stay but still want an answer for a question, then just post it and we'll make sure we'll get to it so that you can watch it in the replay. So let's get started. I have some windows here that are blocking. Let's see. There we go. All right. This is a picture of me and my daughter. I was born and raised in Switzerland and moved to the US when I was 21. In this picture, you see my daughter Olivia and I 8 years ago, and I was just turning 40. I had traveled home to celebrate my birthday with my family because this was a pivotal time in my life. A year before, I had gone through a divorce. I'd been with my husband for 16 years, so the split really shook up my life. And even though I'm smiling in this picture, on the inside, I was not as happy, because I knew I had to change something. If I didn't want to relive the same heartache again that I had, and I wanted to also set a better example for my daughter. Almost 20 years earlier, I had moved to California. I earned a Montessori teaching degree and got a job in beautiful Santa Barbara that you can see here. I was ecstatic. I loved the ocean and the mountains at my front door. And a few days into living there, I even met the guy of my dreams. It was love at first sight. And we started dating, and shortly after that, moved in together. And a year later, we got married. And we both thought that we had it made. I don't know about how your history goes, but when you start out and you're fresh in love, you think like nothing can bring you down. But what we both didn't realize was that creating a fulfilling relationship is a skill. And sadly, we both really didn't have that skill, because just like most of us, we followed the models we have been raised with by our parents. For as long as I can remember, my parents criticized each other for the smallest everyday stuff. And my parents are still married. They celebrated their 50th anniversary last year. However, they didn't stay together because they were happy, but rather because that is what society tells us to do, right? And when I asked my mother whether she wanted to celebrate her anniversary, she said, "Why? There's nothing to celebrate." I thought that was such a sad statement, but that's who I learned from. And my husband came from an equally critical background. His parents had gotten divorced in his teenage years, but he has modeled the same critical approach that I had experienced. So when it came to creating a lasting relationship together, we thought we needed to improve each other. We constantly pointed out each other's faults. We told each other how to cook, how to clean. And then when my daughter was born, we told each other how to raise her. And after 16 years of this, our love for each other had totally eroded. There was nothing left. And we got a divorce. And we split the custody of my daughter, which completely devastated both of us. And I didn't think I'd ever want to be in another relationship. And by the way, this is stock footage because I want to keep my ex-husband's identity private. We're good friends at this point, and so the other pictures are real. Anyways, during my divorce, I was introduced to the principle of co-creation. This principle says that God doesn't just exist outside of us, sitting on a cloud, judging us, but also inside of us. And if we're truly made in the likeness of God, then we also have creative powers. This doesn't mean that we have some magical, crazy powers, but it does mean that we can create the outcomes in our lives that we would desire with the help of the universe. Hence, we call it co-creation. So it's not something we do by ourselves, but it's a collaboration. And how do we do this? We use our thoughts. The more we focus our thoughts on a specific goal, the more this goal becomes a reality. It's really the basis of law of attraction. The more you focus on something positive, the larger it gets in your life. And the more you focus on something negative, the larger that gets in your life. And as I was studying this, it hit me. My husband and I had forever focused on the negative aspects of our relationship. And as a result, those aspects had gotten larger and larger in our reality. And we even went to therapy to talk about our problems, and it just got worse. So don't get me wrong, therapy is very helpful. Just in our case, it didn't help because it compounded the problem. So as I started to change my thoughts, my life started to change around me. My ex-husband and I didn't get back together, but our relationship improved. I focused on all the things he did well for my daughter. He picked her up from school on time when it was his day. He helped her with homework. He provided her with nutritious meals. And he attended all her parent conferences. And the more I focused on those aspects, the better we got along. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick because we are in Arizona and everything is dry. But where I saw the most significant changes was in my dating life. About a year after my divorce, my friends convinced me to date again. And I wasn't really happy about it, but I reluctantly did. And I'd done a lot of work on my thinking. By the time I was ready to go on dates, I then found a wonderful new partner. His name is Tom. On the left, this is a picture of us in Rome at the beginning of our relationship. This relationship was very different. Every time I wanted to criticize him, I bit my tongue. Instead, mentally, I would take stock of all the great qualities he has, and I would be able to let go of what annoyed me in that moment. And in turn, he never criticized me. And that's really not to say that we don't have disagreements. We do, but we handle them in a respectful manner and we let the little things go. After 3 years together, he proposed to me, and our relationship had been such a wonderful experience that I said yes. I've been together with him now for 7 years. We brought 3 kids together. And because we work on our thoughts, the relationship continues to deepen and feel more fulfilling for both of us every day. I first started sharing my strategies with family and friends and didn't think much about it. But when I saw them transforming their relationship in powerful ways, I really wanted to make this available to more people, and that's why I decided to build a business around it. So you may have signed up for this webinar because you're single and feel frustrated with your dating life. You may feel lonely and underappreciated, or you may be in a long-term relationship and know deep down that there's more that's possible, but you have no idea how to make that happen. You probably have even tried many things, but nothing ever really created the change you were looking for. So I want to take a brief moment to tell you about a study that Harvard released in 2014. And while this is a study of men, and I know our audience is mostly women, it's their longest running study on happiness. And, history shows not a lot of women were surveyed for these kinds of questions. So this is the data that we have. But I find it very intriguing because they surveyed 724 men from Boston. Some were Harvard graduates with great incomes, and some were from South Boston, the poorest part of town. And they measured all kinds of data over and over. And over some time, they invited the wives also to come and give their feedback. And after 75 years of crunching numbers, the researchers found that it wasn't our careers or tons of money or even owning lots of stuff, but rather that deeply connected relationships are what truly make us happy. And on the flip side, they found that not only single people, but also people in long-term relationships, but who were feeling lonely and disconnected, felt significantly less happy. And their health was not as good either. They even found that they experienced memory loss, more memory loss. This is quite significant, right, when we think about it, because how much time do we spend on building our businesses? And it really puts it into perspective. We can talk about that some more at the Q&A. So what if nothing changes? You keep trying new things, but nothing makes a difference. Most of us get depressed or sick. When I was in an unhappy relationship, I developed food allergies that no one could explain, and I also often had headaches. Overall, I was completely miserable, and I felt really helpless and afraid that things would never turn around. The number one problem I found is that we have is in our thinking. We always look to solve our problems on the outside, we think. And I wonder if any of you agree with this. If I just lost an extra 10 pounds, my partner would love me more. Or you just know that everything would be different if you just found a new partner. But most of the time, the new partner just brings the problem with him that the last one had as well. In the beginning, he may appear different, but after a few weeks, we don't wait that long, we realize we're dating the same person again. And it's because we haven't changed our thinking. And so how do we take our power back and create change? So I want to walk you through the 3 major steps that I work with, and we'll share some tips with you so that you can immediately implement them. The first step I call set your soul on fire. And here we want to become clear on what kind of relationship it is you want to create. The reason why this is so important is that when you co-create with the universe, like in any teamwork effort, you need to clearly know what your goal is. If you say, universe, I want a great guy, well, then the universe will respond and give you a guy that cooks, does the dishes, takes the trash out. But maybe you wanted a guy who enjoys family time and will take your son to Little League. So avoid being vague. And for many of us, this can really be challenging. When I first went onto the online dating sites, I was supposed to give a description of what I was looking for. And after telling my husband what I didn't want for 16 years, I had a very hard time describing what it is that I did want. I had to take quite a bit of time sitting alone in a quiet space to figure out what it was I was looking for. So let's grab our worksheet or pad and paper that you have and get to work. So under the title, Setting Your Soul on Fire, I want you to think of 2 to 3 qualities that you want to experience in your relationship. And don't be limited by what you think you can have or what your current partner may be capable of. Just dream really big and write down what you're deeply yearning for. And make sure you don't only describe what it looks like, but also what it feels like. Because since we're working with energy, a lot of what's at the basis of it is what we want to feel like. And that's what determines what makes us happy, and not so much what the relationship looks like. And as you're doing this, truly listen to what you're yearning for. And doing this simple exercise has really helped my clients to expand what they thought they could create. So just take some time and write that down. All right. So let's move on to step number 2. This I call slay your inner saboteur. This is the step where we need to become aware of what limiting beliefs we hold about relationships. We all have certain scripts running in our subconscious. As long as they live in our subconscious, though, we're not really aware of them and therefore cannot really do anything about them. So they continue to drag us down with each new opportunity they get. So we need to unearth these beliefs. We need to drag them into the light so that we can understand what they are and proactively transform them. So one of my limiting beliefs was relationships are always contentious, right? I always had fighting all around me, and so I just assumed that that was a reality. I'd seen it modeled. And so when you see it over and over, you just believe that that's a reality. So for my tip number 2 under Slay Your Inner Saboteur, I'd like you to close your eyes for a second and identify the number 1 negative thought that always crops up when you think about your relationship. When you found that, open your eyes and on your worksheet, note this thought down. What is it that always crops up right away? And when you're done, I'd like you to think about the positive opposite to that statement. So to give you an example, my limiting belief was relationships are always contentious, and the opposite was relationships are always calm and peaceful. So I'm going to give you a minute to just come up with the opposite. To retrain our brain to replace a negative belief we've held, we need to read or say out loud the positive opposite or affirmation for at least 30 days on a daily basis. This allows our brain to create new pathways. However, if we're not consistent, the brain gets confused and it just goes back to your old belief. So make sure you stick with saying the affirmation at least once a day. And in the beginning, it will feel like you're telling yourself a lie, right? When I just started telling myself, oh, relationships are always calm and peaceful, it felt like, yeah, right, I'm never going to believe that. But over time, you will feel how something is changing in you and how the new belief is starting to form. And the universe is going to start collaborating with you, and it's going to start showing you in the outside the same belief reflected. So the universe started to show me couples that were calm and peaceful in my environment. And the more I affirmed this belief, it eventually brought me a partner with whom now I have a really wonderful and calm, peaceful relationship. So as I changed my thoughts, I was able to transform the relationship I was experiencing. And then the third step, we become a magnet. There, we can pull the perfect person to us for the person we want to be with. And this is where we do the work of aligning our energy. From physics, we know that like attracts like. So it's only natural then that if you want your partner to be successful, wealthy, and have a great sense of family, you're not a match if you're unemployed, broke, and are constantly fighting with your family members. So the work then is to become what we seek. We have to become an energetic match for the person we want to be with. And that's not just if you're looking for somebody new. That's really also if you already have that person in your life. Before I started dating, I knew I wanted to be in a relationship where both of us were physically fit, and I started hiking daily and taking yoga classes. Once I was looking through all the profiles on the dating site, I found a guy who was taking yoga teacher training. And that really gave me a hint that he might be valuing health as much as I am. And that guy eventually became my husband. But had I not worked on myself first, I would have never been an energetic match for him. And of course, there's different kinds of qualities we need to work on, right? It's not just that you exercise and that brings the perfect person, but we start working on many different qualities that we would like to bring into our life. So for tip number 3, I want you to think about a quality you would like your partner to have that you don't currently have right now either. So many of us tend to be frustrated with the communication skills our husbands have, or our partners. So if that's something you'd like to change, think about, oh, actually, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Just find a quality that you would like to have, that you would like to have him. Oh boy, it's getting to that. I'm taking a sip of water and resetting. So just think of a quality you would like your partner to have that you currently don't have, and write that down. And then I'd like you to think about what you could do today to embody that quality. So if it is that you would like better communication, could you maybe ask for more help and communicate your needs better? A lot of us have no problems talking about our feelings, but we are busy women. We like to often control what's going on in the house. We want our dishes done just the right way. We want our shopping done the right way. And maybe that's a place where you can start communicating overwhelm and asking for help, for example. Because it doesn't always mean you want him to talk about his feelings and then you're gonna express your feelings. Look at where the communication might change and where you could start doing something. And maybe you're looking for a completely different category. So, to recap, to create the fulfilling relationship we desire, we first need to give the universe clear direction on what it is we want to do. Then we need to become aware of our limiting beliefs so that we can transform them. And then lastly, we want to become a magnet for what we want to attract. And if we implement those steps, let's take a peek at what's possible. Imagine coming home to a partner who gives you unconditional love, with whom you can grow together throughout the years, and who simply is your best friend. What would that feel like in your body? What do you think you could accomplish? Who would you give yourself permission to be? But how many of you know that if you don't take positive action, nothing changes, right? Many of us have heard some of these principles. For example, you may know in your head that if you want to lose weight, you should not grab this delicious cupcake here in this picture, but rather you should reach for the celery stick. Yet, most of us find it really difficult to take the positive action that brings us closer to our goal, right? Change is hard and it takes time. We can't just change everything in the short time we've been given here. So that's why I've built a program that supports you step by step in your journey to create deeply connected and fulfilling relationships. like Tisha said, at the end of March, I released a book, and it's called Becoming Your Own Knight in Shining Armor. And it discusses the 3 steps I've just outlined for you here, but it goes into greater depth on each step. I've been working with adults in education for so many years, and I understand that as adults, we don't really learn theory very well. To adapt stuff effectively, we need to have hands-on activities. And so this book is full of interactive activities. But if you're like most busy women, you buy the book, you get through a chapter or 2, and then you need to focus on to the next thing, right? And you have to abandon your journey. So that's why I've decided to offer an online book club. And in this book club, you can gather with other women and we read a few chapters independently, and then we join together and dive deeper into the topics. And so I just briefly wanted to show you what I'd like to offer you, if that is something you'd like to dive deeper into and feel like that could help you. So this is a weekly online meeting on Zoom that you guys are familiar with, because this group meets on Zoom. So it's a place, not the webinar form, but the one where you can see everybody, so you can have a real conversation. You get a copy of the book. You get the accountability that helps you get through the book and really make the progress. You get to ask me questions. We have a private Facebook group. And if you're traveling, which many of the people that I've had in the book club have had to do here and there, and especially as we're getting into summer, you will either get the video recording or you can call in on the phone line and still be part of it. And if you want to sign up today, you get also a bonus of 30 minutes one-on-one consultation with me, where we can just jump in right away and talk about where you're at. I'm giving you a self-care checklist, because just like Tisha's talking about the self-care retreat, right? We need to take care of ourselves. And as busy women, we often forget about how to do that. And so that's a short checklist on helping you not forget the main items. And then another one, 10 ways to determine whether you're in a relationship that feeds your soul. Kind of gives you a sense of, where am I at right now? Does my relationship need work? You probably have a sense that it does if you're interested in this work, but you may not know it necessarily in what area you want to focus on. So, and here's the price. Today, I'd like to offer this to you guys for $147. I usually have a price at $197. And Tisha is going to put the link into the chat, right? Or was I supposed to do it? I can't remember. We're going to hyperlink it in the chat so that it's easier for you to access, because the slide doesn't hyperlink. There we go. All right, thank you. So that's basically it. I really just wanted to make this very affordable. The weekly meetings are an hour and 15 minutes, and we are going to start on next week. And I have a group that meets on Tuesday nights from 7 to 8:15, and then I have a group that meets for the lunch hour on Thursdays from noon to 1:15. And we're doing this over 5 weeks, so it's basically covering all the weeks of June. And next Tuesday, I think, is the last day in May. So, but I really wanted to make this accessible for people so that, you know, you can attend it online. It's a very relaxed environment. And yeah, it's easy for you to attend. Even if your kids are in the background, you know, you can have them. I've had people put them in front of TV and then be part of it. And if you need to run away, it's fine. So this brings me to the end of my presentation. I'd love to answer questions you have. And also, if you feel that you have more personal questions that you don't want to really discuss here in the group, I'm going to put my email right here so that you can reach out to me by email, and I'm happy to talk to you further that way. So, Tisha, I give this back to you. Let me exit my window. I think I need to stop sharing, right? All right, let's see how we do this.
Yeah, I think if you go ahead and
There.
add your video back on, and we'll be on together.
Yes. All right. Yeah, Let me see. This window keeps disappearing and appearing. All right.
Well, welcome back, ladies. Thank you, Selina, for your presentation. How many of you took notes? I was taking a lot of notes about this.
Okay.
This is an opportunity, ladies, if you have questions and all of you feel that you want to get on and talk to Selina, go ahead and make all of you panelists, or you can use a chat line. I always find that discussion works better for me than you typing it in and us just responding.
I actually think you need to make them hosts because I think they're already panelists.
Well, they're showing up as viewers, so.
Okay, see what happens. I mean, we'll start seeing them pop up once their status is changed.
Okay. Oh, there they are. Hi, ladies. Aw, so the people are coming.
People are coming out of the dark.
And ladies, I think that it just goes ahead and adds you, adds your video. So if you don't want to be on, you can always just turn your video off as well and ask questions. But since we still have about, a little over 15 minutes, I think it's a great opportunity to just jump right in and ask Selina questions while she's here live with us. I'll start off because, every time I do these things, I'm like, so good. I have to say something because I learned a lot about myself.
Good.
In my daughter, actually, because I was that type. I really struggled, and here I love being real. So I'm going to be really real with you ladies, that I really struggled with. I would be that one in the morning where I got up, and you had mentioned this, Selina, that you just got to learn to let things go, let the little things go. Well, I am anal about the house. Like, I feel like I walk around the house going, dang, this place is such a disaster. Like, it's hard for me to get that out of my head. It's like ingrained in my head that every morning I walk down, I'm like, this is here, I have to do all these things. And like, so bad Tisha comes out, like attitude Tisha. And it got to a point where my husband's like, that woman keeps emerging every single morning all the time. And I'm really getting tired of it. And it was really putting a big strain on our relationship, because what really mattered? Did it matter that the dishes weren't clean or the laundry was piled up? Like, it didn't really matter. Well, if Aaron Edwards or Cammie are coming over, then it matters.
Right.
Aaron's like, no. But I even remember Easter weekend, something coming up where like Sean decided to have his whole family over because we just put a pool in the backyard, and he was like, let's host it here. Well, I got the stomach bug the Friday before. And then Saturday was at Angela Vertuccio's farm with the kids. And then had to freak out because I'm like, the house isn't even clean and I have all these things and I have to go ahead and, clean the floors. And I was like, Sean, I felt like I was the drill sergeant. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we don't need to have this here. You cancel this whole thing, you do this. And I'm like, here's the mop, you better clean this thing. And so I got into this mode, and it really, again, put us back at that same spot where my husband's like, could you stop? Is this really necessary? Does it really matter? They're my parents. They don't care if the floor hasn't been mopped, as long as the house is somewhat tidy. Mm-hmm. So this morning, or no, it was yesterday morning, I think I was sharing, maybe it was with you, Cammie, or maybe Aaron. I know I've talked to both of you this week, but my daughter woke up and I just had like a rough night where I hadn't slept much. And so it was like 5:55 in the morning, and she comes into the room and it's crazy hair day. And she's talking to me and she's like, I need to have my hair crazy hair day. And I said, great, well, we can do this. And she's like, no, pigtails. That's all I want. I'm like, well, that's not really crazy. And she's like, no, it's exactly what I want. Like, she just kind of gave me this attitude. And I was immediately reminded of how I do that same thing in a different, where I'm like, I don't really appreciate your attitude. It's just, my husband's like, do you see what it's like when you get up first thing in the morning and you're just like bitching all the time?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get you. I got
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
You know, I mean, I don't know how many of you relate to this, but I really feel that as I was starting to, you know, look at this more and talk to more women about this particular issue, I found that all of us really suffer from it, right? It's not you in particular. It's a huge issue for me. It's a huge issue for a lot of women, but it comes from the fact that, you know, for generations, we've taken care of the house. And we've now been raised to have our careers outside of the house, but we all really can't let go of being perfect in the house. And we still feel like it's our job to do. Some people are better at saying, no, my husband is 50% and he's going to do everything, you know, he's totally sharing this thing. But so many of us really pull it back to ourselves and say, no, I'm going to do it because I'm going to do it better. And so I don't even want you to give it a try, right? Because, I mean, how many times have I let my daughter go without doing her chores because I know I'm going to have to do it second time, so I might as well just do it the first time. But it's really the struggle to let go and bring other people on board, because we're going to kill ourselves doing both well, because so many of us who have their own businesses want to do well in the world. So we want to do really well in our business, and then we want to do really well on the clean floors and the clean toilets, and it kills us. So who else has experienced that? I'd love to hear.
I wanted to say something. So all of you ladies are in the Facebook Gals community, I presume, everybody on right now. And I really loved, Selina, it was you. You had taken a picture of this book, and it was talking about what was it? It was like about the art of not giving a F.
Yes, it's basically the subtle art of not giving a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And I was like, yes, this is such a good book. I've got to get on that, because I feel like I've learned lately, like I feel like I've grown so much in the past year with just relationships, where I'm like, I'm just going to be so honest with you, because I'm not going to let that just keep eating at me. Mm-hmm. So if I don't say it now of how I'm feeling, we're just going to keep going through this over and over and over. And it's just going to eat at me, eat at you, or actually you probably don't even care, but it's always going to be affecting me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's on the summer reading list, ladies.
What I actually like is not that he just says, I don't, care about anything. It's about deciding which things are really worth worrying about and which ones we need to let go of. And it really helped me to go and make a list of the things that I should be focused on and want to do well, and which things I really need to let go.
That's perfect.
Like, my kitty having a new litter box, and I could be cleaning that 5 times a day, but I'm choosing not to, because, it'll drive me insane. Or my Palo Verde in front of the door that keeps spreading little yellow flowers every day. How many times do I want to go sweep that? So
there's some insanity for you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it is about picking and choosing your battles.
Yeah.
One thing I did with my kids is, when they were little, as a parent, I was teaching them the right words to use, right? And to say things a certain way. And I thought, oh, I'm being such a good parent. And now that they're older, they do it back to me. So whenever I'm being lazy mouth, now they're like, it's this, Mom. And I'm like, oh my God, this is biting me in the butt that I did that for all those years when they were little.
I've created monsters, right?
Yeah. And so I was like, I explained to them, look, I was trying to make sure that you knew the proper way, and that was it, and I wasn't trying to create this monitoring everybody in the household for how they speak. And so, yeah, they're like, well, you're just a control freak, so we're giving it back to you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I can feel it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like we all feel like we're control freaks, and we care, but if we want to stay sane, we need to let go of some things.
Let go. Yeah, I've learned to let go, and it's been a lot happier. But I totally agree. My husband's the same way. He's a stepdad for the last 6 years, and that took some huge adjustment for him because me and my kids had our own way, right? And he had to join us and be like, ugh, I can't handle this mess. If I see one more soda can on the countertop, I think I'm just gonna flip a lid, right? And I was like, yeah, you got to learn to just like not see those things. Yeah. And he's like, it's so hard, but he's finally got there. 6 years later, he's like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Good. Learn to let it go.
Yes.
Yeah, ladies, any other questions? We have a few more minutes. Erin looks like she's taking notes or something. Yeah, and ladies, this is Erin Edwards. I think all of you know her, but Erin is our speaker for next month. So she's talking about Pinterest and using that for your business. That's on June 29th. So I will go ahead and put the link up on the calendar for you to start registering for that. I am so excited about that, Erin. Yes. Even just me and you, I am so excited about that. Very excited. Yeah, here, she's even excited.
Yeah, I'd like to attend that. That sounds good.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So as I shared, I know a lot of you jump on these webinars and maybe can stay for a little bit. I do record these. That's why I love webinars, because a lot of us, we can't get to a meeting. We can't sit there and listen to a speaker for an hour. And I'm like, hey, I know I need this added convenience. So why not just do it this way where we can all be in the room. We can all listen to Selina or the speaker, ask questions, and then refer back. So maybe Selina said something that you need to get back to. So now you have the recording to be able to do that. So like I said, webinars every single month except for July and December. And if you are interested and you have something that you are wanting to share, you feel like it'll be beneficial to the general population, then let me know and I can get you in to being a speaker if you have something that you are interested in sharing. But it can't be, I'll just say, like, it can't be about breastfeeding. I'm sorry, ladies. Like, it's got to be something that's business or life-based that everybody can use in their everyday life. So that is really about it. If you guys have any other questions, you can reach out to Selina. I'm going to go ahead and send out the recording as soon as I get that, along with some of the links that she shared. Would you ladies like her presentation? Selina, would you like me to share that, or?
I'm happy to pass it along if you guys would like it.
Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll add that PowerPoint, or maybe even get it into a Google Doc and then just invite the people that were registered so you have access to her presentation too.
Yeah.
But if you ladies have questions, you know where to find me, you know where to find Selina, and thank you for tuning in live. And like I said, the recording will be out later this week.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you guys. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Selina.